right, welcome back. Welcome back to another Earnings Lottos Power Hour Live. I'm your host, Pete. Today is Wednesday, April 29th. In the next, as you know, for the next hour or so, a little longer than an hour, we'll use earningslottos.com to find the best earnings movers that report this afternoon and tomorrow morning. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It lets me know that you like this content and it works for you. Without further ado, and also if anyone joining, if you have any questions, you want me to look into flow a little bit further for any of the stocks that we talk about, or just like a random stock, it doesn't have to be an earnings stock, don't hesitate to throw it in the chat, and then we will take a look at it in Unusual Whales. But like I said, without further ado, let's get into the reports for this afternoon. I guess first we can just look over what reported this morning, just to get a good grasp on, if anything. Let me zoom in a little bit. If anything made a good move. That probably looks way better than what we've been doing in the past, right? Hey, what up, Ezo? So Wing reported this morning, unfortunately didn't make a 10% move. Car, another one that reported this morning, no 10% move. Eat got a 15% move, so if you got those calls, then congrats. Garmin, another chopped candidate. Lemonade made a 10% move, and that was pretty much it for the high EL scores for yesterday. So kind of like I've been anticipating this week, I think the bigger moves are going to happen at the end of the week. Although Monday into Tuesday, we did have some pretty big moves too. Although a lot of those contracts were very juiced. So even though they made big moves, they made 10% moves. They didn't really pay any options contracts that were priced around like $1.50 or so like that. So I'm still kind of waiting. I think that we'll have something, if not this afternoon, then tomorrow afternoon. So that's what I've kind of been holding out for this whole week. And there are some good ones this afternoon that I've just been thinking about all day, and I may consider. But first, I want to look at the strangles that the website is finding. If we like those strangles, we like the setup. If we like the EL score, then we'll dive deeper into Unusual Whales and then position from there. But I am very, very picky when it comes to my stock picks and trades. So first one that we have for this afternoon is Carvana. I think everyone knows Carvana here, just a big seller of used cars. I guess they buy used cars too, which makes sense. You can trade in your vehicle with Carvana. $397 a share, almost 400. Great EL score, 90. This is one of the highest EL scored stocks of the week. 11% expected move. 6 out of 8 quarters, it has made a 10% move up or down, which is great. Narrative intel is hot for Carvana. Apparently people are buying used cars left and right. Online used car, retail units, GPU per unit. They are having a 5-for-1 split. I think that's upcoming. I don't know the exact date. Oh yeah, so 5-for-1 split effective May 7th behind this print. So something to keep in mind. I don't know, that might be kind of a non-event, but just something to note. Carvana is doing a 5-for-1 split in like a week or so. But overall, it looks like fundamentals are hot. They're good for Carvana. Retail unit growth and GPU compression are the metrics. Tariff-driven used car demand shift is the structural tailwind. Average 92% beat history. Typically moves almost 12%. The strangles that we have for Carvana, we had the 490 call. 23% out of the money up, expiring on Friday. $2, about like $2.20 a contract. Volume not exceeding open interest there, but still pretty good. This tells me that they're probably, for the majority of these are probably purchased, they're probably bought. But this 360p, 9% out of the money down, expires on Friday. So this is a huge volume to open interest ratio. 8,300 contracts versus 240 that were on the chain. I kind of lean to the put side here with Carvana. I do want to look at this in Unusual Whales a little later because it is a high EL score for today. But I think right now I would say Carvana downside for sure. But yeah, we'll look at that one a little later because it is a very high EL score stock. So I think we have to do a little research on it. Form is one of the other high EL score stocks for this week. Big tech stock, provider of electrical and optical test and measurement tech along the full semiconductor product life cycle. So they are heavily involved in semiconductor production. And as such, well, let's look at the price first. So first, $133 a share, really good EL score, great history of moves over 10% in the last 2 years, and a really nice expected move this quarter. Narrative Intel is pretty good for form. 3 out of the last 4 quarters, they've produced a beat. It looks like they're expecting pretty good EPS, so almost 32% year over year growth. They make probe cards for testing AI chips in HBM memory. Directly in the AI chip test supply chain alongside Teradyne. Teradyne reported, I think Teradyne went down, right? Revenue expected pretty good, 31% year over year growth. AI chip probe card, HBM, yeah, alongside, so KLAC, I think they're like KLA Corporation. They report this week too, and Teradyne already reported this week. Teradyne went down. Strangles for Form, 170 call, $3, about $3 last price traded there, 27% out of the money up. A lot of these contracts are very juiced this week. That's why we're getting a lot of strangles that are popping up outside the 10% line. But majority of these are probably bought just because of the contract price. And then on the put side, 110p, 18% out of the money down. These are likely bought too, so probably a classic strangle with form. And that's what I would suggest. I think if you're 100% Ezo. If you're going to trade form, you got to strangle it. Same thing with Carvana. If you're going to trade Carvana, you have to strangle. Both of them have too good of a history of making 10% moves in either direction that you have to protect the opposite side. So form, it's kind of hard to tell based off of this what's happening. We'll look at it in Unusual Whales in a second, but both good strangle options. ACHC we'll look at next. There's a few healthcares this week. There's not a ton, but ACHC is one. THC is one. We'll look at that. That's for tomorrow morning. But Acadia Healthcare, they acquire and develop behavioral healthcare facilities. Looks like, more acute inpatient psychiatric facilities. Is that a fancy way of saying like insane asylum? Kind of, maybe it's like the 2026 version of saying insane asylums. But anyways, $28 a share. You're looking at maybe like a $2, maybe a $3 move either way. Pretty good EL score. Anything over 60, I like. 5 quarters in the last 2 years, it has made a 10% move up or down. Narrative Intel is pretty good for Acadia. Q4, they beat on Q4 2025. They beat on revenue. They're expecting decent growth year over year, about maybe 7%. Behavioral health, psychiatric hospitals, addiction treatment, Medicaid, DOG. They didn't something just pass. I saw Joe Rogan and Trump together recently about like opiates. So I kind of think about that in relation to ACHC. Maybe there's some bullishness there. There's a connection. Behavioral health turnaround, DOJ settlement clarity, and Medicaid policy commentary are the binary catalysts. Typically moves almost 10%. Strangles for Acadia, we got the 30 call at $1.33. 20p at 20 cents. I would say this is leaning to the upside for sure. I think these 20p's are being sold. They're way too far out of the money down. That's too ambitious, I think. Really cheap contract price. Some decent volume over open interest there. Likely sold. So I think I like the call side there to Acadia, but I don't know if it is a must trade. It's cheap. There's a lot of others this week that are pricier. You'll get a better move. Fish, what are you doing? My cat is like moving something around on the ground in the kitchen. I have no idea what he's doing. Acadia, I would say lean to the upside there. I'm not seeing anything bearish about it at all. Viavi Solutions, Fish, stop. Anyone want a cat? $45 a share, $4 move in either direction. EL score pretty good, 57. Expected move is pretty good. 4 quarters in the last 2 years, it's made a 10% move up or down, so that's pretty good. Narrative Intel for Viav is hot. They are involved in making optical fiber test equipment and defense electronics. AI data center fiber build out, so they got a connection there. Looks like they have a $6 billion deal with Corning, GLW. All right, I gotta go get this cat. All right, anyone wants a cat, let me know. You can have a free cat. Viav, what were we talking about here? AI optical test, fiber test equipment, GLW MXL. Okay, so they have a connection with Corning and Max Linear, which reported last week. Corning reports this week, or maybe they reported yesterday. It wasn't an earnings stock, but they are heavy in semiconductor land. Everything here sounds bullish to me. I mean, MXL made a huge move end of last week. 55 call getting attention, 22, almost 22% out of the money up. $2 was the last price traded. 620 contracts bought and sold today versus 13,000 that were on the chain. 42p getting attention, 323 last contract traded. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I would say the 55 call probably has a lot of bought and sold. They could be straight up classic strangles here. I think this one warrants looking at, especially because they have that connection with MXL. But yeah, this one I think warrants looking at a little bit more on unusual whales. So we'll put a pin in that one. So Viav, we have a lot to look at today in unusual whales for sure. Sprouts, we'll look at Sprouts next. Hipster grocery market, grocery store kind of out west, Midwest kind of places. Actually, I think they have Sprouts in New York State too. They just don't have any down here where I am. But they offer a specialty grocery experience featuring an open layout with fresh produce at the heart of the store. That's just a nice way of saying they're an uppity hipster grocery store. But regardless, pretty good share price, $70 a share. 56 EL score, which is good. 4 quarters, it has made a 10% move in the last 2 years, which is also good. 4 out of the last 4 quarters, it has produced a beat. They're still expecting a little bit of a lift this quarter, it looks like. So 4% year-over-year growth expected. Health-focused grocery compounder, comp growth, and new store productivity are the re-rate metrics here. Beat 4 out of 4 typically moves almost 8%. Strangles for Sprouts, 75 call, expiring on the 15th, which is good. So this one has monthlies. I always like that. 689 contracts bought and sold today versus 947 on the chain. Not bad, decent. Probably a lot of these are probably purchased, I would say. 70p, very close to the money. Much pricier per contract. Good volume over, I always do this. Good volume over open interest. These are probably bought too. So this could just be like a classic strangle, but I think that Sprouts traders are definitely looking to the downside as the more confident play there. So I would say probably close to the money down, but hedge it. That looks like they're probably hedging on the call side. 4 out of 8 moves, you can make your own decision if you want to strangle that. I would say maybe yes, like a very small strangle, something way out of the money, and maybe something with a sooner expiration date than your more confident side, but you don't have to strangle a 4 out of 8 if you don't want to. Sprouts FTAI Aviation next. Independent engine maintenance platform focused on a lot of different aircraft engines. They power the 737NG and A3. Are those Airbus? I don't say, is 737, that's Boeing, right? Boeing 737. And then A320 CEO is probably Airbus. So it looks like they make a lot of airplane engines, or they're at least involved in that. Current share price, $213. 49 EL score, right under 50. So that kind of puts it away from me. 2 quarters, it has made a 10% move in the last 2 years. It's decent. It's not awful. It's not really great though. Narrative Intel is hot for FTAI Aviation. They did beat on EBITDA for quarter 5, 2025. EBITDA to me means really nothing though. It's kind of, EBITDA is used by a lot of companies that are growing. Startups use them a lot. Because obviously it's earnings before interest, taxation, depreciation, and amortization. So it's earnings before literally all of your expenses, which I don't understand. If you have crazy overhead expenses, then EBITDA doesn't matter. Leases and services, LEAP aircraft engines, aviation aftermarket demand is at record levels as airlines defer new aircraft deliveries. Revenue is really good year over year, 61% increase year over year. Aerospace, EBITDA, and cash generation are the metrics. Beat 3 out of the last 4 quarters. Aviation engine aftermarket, that's on me. Narrow body engine is structural, demand is structural as aircraft delivery delays extend. 220 call popping up for FTAI. This is the same story that we've seen with a lot of stocks this week. Actually, a lot of the stocks that have worked well have been these with a big volume number and a small open interest number. And to me, that signals immediacy, and it tells me that FTAI traders anticipated the earnings print, they anticipated the earnings trade, and they came in on the day of earnings to get those contracts. So this is the same thing that we saw with SanM, and just a few, I think Celestica had it, a few others had it. So just for what it's worth, I already like the call side here a lot for FTAI. That's a really pricey contract. So for what it's worth, if you don't like trading, first of all, if you don't like trading low EL scores, then don't trade FTAI. I'm not going to trade this one, but I do. If you had conviction beforehand, if you were thinking about FTAI, maybe this helps you out. This kind of gives you a good direction, because the call side definitely looks stronger here. The 160p, 25% out of the money down, cheap contract. Again, volume exceeding open interest, but I would say a lot of these are sold. So I do like the 220 call here with FTAI. I don't know if it has a 10% move. I think that's why traders are kind of picking something close to the money. So keep that in mind, but the call side for FTI does look good, and it's got pretty bullish fundamentals too. So I kind of like that. But I'll fade it just because I'm very stingy with my earnings trades. TTMI we'll look at next. They manufacture tech products including mission systems, RF components, microwave assemblies, and advanced interconnect products such as PCBs and substrates. If you know what those are, I don't know what those are. 133 share price, pretty good, gives it maybe a $15 move in either direction. We have a 48 EL score, which is just under my threshold of 15% expected move, pretty good. 2 quarters out of the last 2 years, it's made a 10% move up or down. Same kind of story as FTAI, which we were just looking at. 3 out of the last 4 quarters, TTMI has produced a beat. They're expecting 20% year-over-year growth. They make advanced PCBs for aerospace, defense, and data center applications, data centers. Printed circuit boards, aerospace and defense, AI data center, advanced packaging. Defense and AI server PCB compounder, defense backlog confirms Iran war demand. The Iran war is definitely going to keep going. Defense stocks are at all-time highs. All of your gas stocks, Chevron, Exxon, they're all at all-time highs. I think traders know a trend in motion is more likely to continue than reverse. So probably no slowdown or stop to that geopolitical BS. Defense and AI server PCB compounder, defense backlog confirms. Yeah, we just said that. So yeah, 150 call popping up for TTMI, almost 10% out of the money up, $6 a contract, volume almost matching open interest. These are probably bought. 110p getting interest on the downside, $3 a contract, volume same kind of thing, almost the same as open interest. These are probably purchased too, or probably a mix of bought and sold. I think TTMI looks pretty good to the upside. I don't think I'll trade it. I think I would suggest fading it too. But again, if you had conviction, if you like playing data center trades, TTMI I think looks good to the upside there. RAM, Everspin Technologies, manufacturer of magnetoresistive random access memory technology. So it's like RAM, but it's magnetoresistive. I have no idea what magnetoresistive means. Company manufactures RAM products using both captive and third-party manufacturing capabilities. Okay, so maybe it's like a kind of like a trendy, like a newer, trendier version of regular RAM. I don't know. Rambus reported earlier this week and tanked on earnings. They are a big RAM maker. 1303 share price, EL score 43. Expected move is pretty good. 4 out of the last 8 quarters, it's made a 10% move up or down. As I always say, I want to see if a stock is under $25. I want to see this number, this moves over 10% number higher, because a 10% move off a $13 stock is $1.30. If your stock can't make a $1.30 move, then I don't know what's going on. Narrative Intel is not good on MRAM, it looks like, or Everspin. No revenue estimate for today, it looks like. MRAM, magnetoresistive memory chips for industrial and aerospace applications. It's a niche memory technology, defense and industrial demand, small cap, thin options. We're getting a skip for trading here from our Narrative Intel. The option strangles for Everspin still looks like there's still liquidity in the options chain. 15 call, 14.5% out of the money up. We got monthlies, which is always nice. Volume is not exceeding open interest here. They're pretty cheap contracts. 1250, a little pricier, but also still kind of a cheap contracts. Probably these are probably both bought, or the other thought I would have would be maybe the 15 is sold and the 12 is bought just because, or 12 and a half, just because it's closer to the money. But I think I think Narrative Intel nailed this one. I think it's a good fade. It might be good for shares. Everything that we read in terms of its fundamentals, other than the fact that they don't have a revenue estimate, but this niche memory technology market and sector, the fact that they deal with a lot of defense and aerospace companies makes me think that Everspin might be a good pickup for shares. MGM, MGM Resorts, largest resort operator at the Las Vegas Strip with 37,000 guest rooms and suites. I've been to Vegas once and I just drove through it. I have no desire to ever go. Current share price, almost $40. 38 EL score, low expected move. 3 quarters in the last 2 years, it's made a 10% move. 3 out of the last 4 quarters, MGM has produced a beat. They are expecting, looks like pretty inline or pretty like maybe 2% year-over-year growth. Las Vegas Strip and BetMGM Digital are the growth engines. I would imagine more people use BetMGM than are visiting the Vegas Strip, but that's just me. Revenue year-over-year is nearly flat. BetMGM profitability inflection is the re-rate catalyst here alongside RSI. Oh, RSI is Rush Street, which I guess reported Tuesday before market. Consumer discretionary pullback is the headwind here. Vegas demand and BetMGM profitability read. So it's going to be all about Vegas demand and probably the DAU, MAU numbers on BetMGM. I don't use BetMGM. I use Kalshi because I have a small and very smooth brain. 40 call getting attention, very close to the money, expires on Friday. I don't like anything here. These are too cheap. If I had to guess, I would say the 40 is bought. The 3650s might be bought too, but I would say MGM leaning to the upside, although it's a good fade. Align, let's look at Align. This is a really interesting one. So Align doesn't have a great EL score, and it doesn't obviously have a great history of moves over 10%, but this one used to bang a lot in earnings. It was, it kind of reminds me of URI, to be honest. Like, almost every earnings report, this was a must play. And then for some reason, they just kind of became a choppy candidate. And then maybe a year ago, or I don't know how many reports ago, but within the last year, because it's that one move, Align made like a 30 or 40% down move. It just tanked. And it snuck up. I don't know why I overlooked its earnings, but it snuck up and yeah, it was just crazy. So this one does have weird moves baked into it every once in a while, but keep in mind, low EL score, and it does have a low history of consistent 10% moves. So unless we see something that just screams at us, we're probably gonna fade Align. But as always, we look at all of it just to double check. Narrative Intel for Align, sleeper re-rate. It looks like they beat on revenue Q4 of 2025. They're expecting pretty inline year-over-year growth. Oh yeah, they make like Invisalign retainers and stuff. If you got like them crooked ass teeth, they'll help you out. Invisalign clear aligners, dental orthodontics, consumer discretionary, blah blah blah. This consumer elective dental spending read. Invisalign case volume under consumer pullback pressure. International mix acceleration is the bull case. So if you are trading Align and you're bullish, you're going to want to be hearing some good news about their international mix acceleration. Strangles for Align. We get the 225 call expiring on Friday. Good volume over open interest. This reminds me of the theme that we're seeing this week. Big volume, low open interest number showing immediacy. But this contract is too cheap. It's too ambitious for me. It's way too far out of the money up. So I would just bet that a lot of these are sold. And then on the put side, 157.50, 12% out of the money down. We might have to look into the put side a little bit more for Align because I would say these are probably bought. And if that's the case, we might have to lotto like a 155p or something just to get some skin in the game. But I think Align looks down, and maybe it's a little interesting. We got a long list to go through on unusual whales, but we got a lot of time today, and I'm trying to go fast. CVI, let's fade. Wait, didn't someone say something about CVI? I feel like I saw CVI at some point today. Oh, what's up, Dwight? Dwight, how did you do on Starbucks? Didn't Starbucks, it was almost at 105. Didn't you say you got like 105 calls? Dude, great trade, Dwight. Good conviction there. 8.5% move. It's still not, it might not hit a 10% move, but hopefully those worked for you. I hope you got next week Starbucks, but that is just me. I think we're gonna look at eBay. I think eBay is tomorrow morning, or if it's this afternoon, we're gonna look at it. If it's this afternoon, tomorrow morning, so we'll look at it. CVI. Let's look at this really quick. Although it has, let's skip this. Skip CVI. VKTX. You didn't get out. You made 100%, dude. You didn't get out too early. You made money today. There's a lot of people that didn't make money. If you made money in the market, pat yourself on the back. There's no such thing as selling too early. I don't agree with any of that. You made money. That was a great trade. 100% is great. Viking Therapeutics, VKTX, healthcare service provider, another one of the healthcares this week. They're focused more on metabolic and endocrine disorders. Company's clinical program pipeline consists of a couple of different products with some weird acronyms. They're orally available, tissue and receptor subtype. All right, I'm done. VKTX, current price, $31.51 a share. So maybe like a $3 move in either direction. 32 yield score. 2 quarters, it has made a 10% move in the last 2 years. No revenue estimate for VKTX. Pre-revenue obesity drug platform. Subcutaneous GLP, so they're into GLPs now. Oral obesity programs. I saw a really weird picture of some actress, and I guess she was doing like one of those GLPs, and like their face just looks so gaunt, and they look skeleton, and like, those GLPs cannot be good. I think we're gonna see something in, I don't know how far away in the near term, but those things can't be good for us. GLP-1 obesity pipeline binary, phase 3 progress versus Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, or the re-rate. I think Novo does Ozempic. I don't know what Eli Lilly does. Size for total loss typically moves for 10 to 20%. Pretty good move, typically, it seems like, but I don't know. Yeah. Strangles for VKTX, 35 call. Pretty cheap. Monthlies, $27.50. Also pretty cheap monthlies, probably some chop here. Nothing is really standing out to me or exciting about VKTX. I don't like the fact that I don't have any revenue estimates. I want to fade Camping World. It's too cheap. Let's look at eBay really quick for Dwight. Founded in 95. Everyone knows eBay. I've been buying, I'll tell you, something I saw in the past week or so, trading cards. Like Pokemon cards, NFL, NBA, MLB, I don't know what the time frame is, but they've gone parabolic. And I only know that because I just started buying trading cards on eBay. So the amount of Jerry Rice gradeds and I got a Wembanyama. So like the eBay is awesome for trading cards. But yeah, I don't know. There could be bullishness there with the fact that cards have just gone parabolic. It's like gold, right? Like everyone has their own hedge. So some people are buying metals or buying gold and silver. Some people are hedging with trading cards and kind of like physical media. So keep that in mind whenever you see things like trading cards and gold, different hedges. If you see those going parabolic, recession indicators. eBay, current share price, 102.40. Poor EL score, I'll just say that. 6% expected move, not big. 2 quarters, it's made a 10% move in the last 2 years. Pretty good track history of beats, though. The 3 out of the last 4 quarters, we've done a beat here. 16% year-over-year growth, which is pretty decent. A lot of that has to do with the amount of money I've given them. You're welcome, eBay. Tariff trade down, resale, marketplace beneficiary, GMV acceleration re-rates eBay as tariff-resistant e-commerce. Would they be tariff resistant? That would be crazy. If they, that's a big bull case for you, Dwight. If they get re-rated as tariff resistant, that's massive for eBay. 108 call popping up. Oh my gosh, this is the theme of the week. See this the volume and open interest number. Every stock that's made a good move this week has looked like this. You might be on to something, Dwight. 153 last contract traded, last price traded. Tons of volume over open interest. 7,600 contracts bought and sold today over 66 that were on the chain waiting. 5% out of the money up, expires on Friday. I think that looks pretty good. 94p, attention on the downside. Same kind of story. 593 contracts traded over 99. Could be a classic strangle here. I'm just guessing because the 108 is closer to the money. It's a little bit more expensive. The majority of these 108s are probably bought. The 94s might be sold or a mix there. But I think the eBay calls look good. You might be onto something there, Dwight. Good eye. MEOH, Methanex Corporation. They producer and supplier of methanol to various international markets. The company's operations is sale of methanol. Okay, they make methanol. Is methanol like ethanol? It sounds like methane to me. How do you make methane? I make methane after I eat Chipotle. $63 a share price, 31 EL score, 10% expected move. 1 quarter, it's made a 10% move in the last 2 years. Not really good news there. It looks like they're expecting some pretty decent year-over-year growth, so 19% there. They are the largest global methanol producer. Methanol prices and global demand are the metrics. Methanol price and OCI integration, China demand and pricing are the metrics. Typically moves maybe 5%. Strangles that we're finding for MEOH, 75 call, 18% out of the money up. Cheap contract, don't really like that. 55p on the downside, 13% out of the money. 95 cents a contract, don't like that either. I think this is a good fade. I also don't know what methanol is. If anyone knows what methanol is, please tell me in the chat. It sounds like a mix of methane and ethanol. Allstate, everyone knows Allstate, big property casualty insurer. Personal auto represents the largest percentage of their revenue, and they also offer, it looks like, homeowners insurance and other insurance products. $212 a share, bad EL score, no moves over 10% in the last 2 years. Narrative Intel is hot for Allstate. 3 out of the last 4 quarters, we've done a beat here. 7% year-over-year growth expected. Largest personal lines PNC insurer, auto and homeowners insurance. Rate increases following 23 to 24 underwriting losses are now flowing to profit. That's good if you own Allstate shares. LA wildfire loss quantification is the Q1 binary alongside R&R, Tuesday pre-market. Interesting. So I guess R&R was another insurance related that reported Tuesday morning. Typically moves really kind of small, almost 5%. 220 call getting attention, 200p getting attention. 220 call looks safer here, but this is probably a safe fade for an earnings print. We're going to fade AUK. We're going to fade Meta. I'm just kidding. We'll look at Meta. Meta, largest social media. Everyone knows Meta. Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp now, all that fun stuff. I have none of those. $673 a share. We're looking at like a $70 move in either direction if it hits 10%-ish. 17 EL score, not great. 6% expected move, not great. But it does make 10% moves. It's done it 4 quarters in the last 2 years. Hot narrative intel for Meta. They are expecting 31% year-over-year growth. Advertising revenue is going up, it looks like, which is always healthy for social media. 0 sell ratings across 42 analysts. Beat 4 of the last 4 quarters. Ton of bullishness there in their fundamentals. AI ad targeting, return on investment versus $115 billion capex. Any Llama monetization signal? Is Llama their AI thing? Or ad revenue beat re-rates, capex, acceleration without revenue confirmation drops it. 700 call popping up for Meta. Pricey contract, very close to the money here. $14 a contract. Lots of volume, doesn't exceed open interest though. 600p on the downside. Both these expire on Friday. 276 last price traded on that contract. Good volume over open interest there. If I do that one more time. Good volume over open interest on the 600p. About 2,000-ish more contracts there. I like the, I don't know which side. 600p is cheaper. I would say call side. I think if they're spending $13 a contract, they probably feel pretty good about it. So I would say Meta call side for sure. But 4 out of 8 moves, this is another one that I personally would probably strangle. If you feel more confident about the call side in Meta, then buy something with more time and closer to the money, and then hedge it with something that expires sooner and that's further out of the money. That would be my suggestion. CMG Chipotle. Everyone knows Chipotle. 32 bucks a share. Bad EL score. 2 quarters in the last 2 years, it's made a 10% move. One of those was pretty recent. I got Chipotle last weekend. It was delicious. Hot narrative intel beat 4 of the last 4 quarters. Pretty decent year-over-year growth. So maybe almost 7% growth expected. Digital ordering and drive-through Chipotle. They have a drive-through Chipotle. Or the throughput drivers, tariff. How would you do a drive-through in Chipotle? Do you like drive-through and you go to like the tortillas first, and then like you go to the next person in the drive-through, and then like the next, and like the next? Like, how do they do that? Isn't the whole? I feel like the whole experience with Chipotle is like being able to like go down the line, like looking at all of your ingredients. Like a drive-through Chipotle makes no sense to me. I mean, that being said, I get it through Uber Eats, and I don't see any of that, so maybe none of that matters. Fast casual and traffic read. Food cost tariff impact on margins is the risk here. Transaction growth for prior year strong comp is the metric. Beat 4 out of 4 typically moves 8% almost. 38 call, very, very cheap. 984 volume to open interest, 1948, 30p. This looks like a classic chop scenario. These could be both sold. I would say the 38 call is probably definitely sold. 30p could be a mix of bought and sold, but I think this looks choppy. So fade Chipotle would be my suggestion. Let's look at Google. Google, $350 a share, bad EL score, only 10% move in the last 2 quarters. I would not suggest trading Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon. If I missed one of the big ones, I don't trade any of those. Never. I would never trade any of those on earnings. That's my suggestion. In like the very rare case you miss a 10% move, and whatever, you miss it. But you got to get right with yourself and not have FOMO on stuff like that. Google Cloud 50% growth confirmation versus 175 to 185 billion capex ROI. Any search AI overviews cannibalization signal is the bear catalyst. Any search AI overviews cannibalization. That's a sentence. Strongest analyst conviction of any mega cap this cycle. Great fundamentals on Google. Obviously, 370 call popping up. Not as expensive as I thought it would be. Expires on Friday, 327 a contract. Not bad. Lots of volume over open interest. 21,000 contracts bought and sold over almost 8,700 on the chain. Put popping up, 320p, expiring on Friday. 9% out of the money down. Much cheaper. Google looks up to me. I can pretty confidently say that just based on this image. 320p is definitely sold here. These are too cheap, and there's a ton of volume. Oh my gosh. So I think Google to the upside, although I'm going to fade Google. But the 370 call here is, I think that looks good. It's 5% out of the money, so it's not more than 10%, which is good. Ton of volume, good contract price. They're probably bought. So I think the 370 call with Google does look pretty good. Did we skip Google? Qualcomm. Let's look at Qualcomm really quick. No 10% moves in the last 2 years. $156 a share. Smartphone DRAM consistent quantification. Any DRAM supply normalization signal lifts guidance. Continued constraint extends the headwind. Automotive 35% plus is a structural bull case. Typically moves 5 to 8% here. Strangles for Qualcomm. We got the 160 call. Probably bought at 468 last contract traded. 155p. These are probably both bought. This is a classic strangle to me. That being said, I would not strangle Qualcomm at all. Look, it's never made a 10% move in 2 years. So what makes you think it'll happen now? Although, if you look at these strikes, the 160 is 2% out of the money. The 155 is right at the money. So those kind of strangles make sense. But like an out of the money strangle on something like Qualcomm, I would not do. I would probably fade that though. Although Qualcomm traders definitely think a move is coming here. They're buying 160 and probably buying 155 too. KLA Corporation, one of the largest semiconductor wafer fabrication equipment or WFE manufacturers in the world. So semiconductor adjacent here. Really expensive share price, $18.02 a share. That's going to give us a good 10% move if it makes it though. So maybe $180, almost $200 move in either direction. Maybe this hits $2,000 a share tomorrow. One quarter out of the last 2 years, it's done a 10% move. Fiscal quarter 2 2022 2026 beat. They're expecting some pretty decent year-over-year growth. Semiconductor process control bellwether, leading edge, WFE intensity confirms or denies. LRCX, so Lam Research and AMAT Applied Materials signals from prior weeks. Beat 4 of the last 4 quarters, typically moves 5%, almost 5%. 2480 call, way too far out of the money up. These are definitely sold, I would say. And then the 1500p on the downside, 17% down. These are probably bought. So KLAC to me looks down. I don't know if it'll get this 17% move. But the nice thing with KLAC is it looks like it has monthlies. So if you do get the downside here, you're going to have some time. O'Reilly is an aftermarket automotive parts retailer. So everyone knows O'Reilly, very similar to like Advanced Auto Parts and whatever the other one is. Someone help me. Advanced and then something else. AAP is Advanced Auto Parts. There's another one. $90 a share price, $10 a share, no moves over 10% in the last 2 years. So that is not good. 4 out of the last 4 quarters, fundamentally, it has beat. Looks like 8% year-over-year growth is estimated here. Aging vehicle fleet and tariff-driven avoidance of new car purchases are structural demand tailwinds. Tariff trade down, auto parts, bellwether, aging fleet, and tariff-driven new car avoidance is the structural tailwind here. Read through for AutoZone, that's it. AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts beat 4 out of 4. Typically moves almost 5%. 95 call, getting attention for O'Reilly. Really cheap contract. Expires on the 15th of May. So monthlies, you got time there. I think if I'm looking at this, the 95 call is probably sold. The 90p being very close to the current share price. Price of your contract, $2 is the last price traded there. Volume is almost matching open interest. These are probably bought. So I think O'Reilly to the downside, but not sure if it'll get a big move. Teledoc we'll look at. TDoc, this one used to make some pretty big moves, but it's super, super cheap now and hasn't done anything in a while. $6 a share, bad EL score, 2 quarters, it's done a 10% move. Telehealth turnaround, BetterHelp member retention and chronic care, enterprise client growth of the re-rate metrics. BetterHelp, I think, isn't BetterHelp that like virtual psychiatrist thing? So maybe that's going well. Maybe people are getting virtual psychiatrists. Not quite sure. Member retention, blah, blah, blah. 7 call, getting attention, too far out of the money up, too cheap. Both these are too cheap. I would say Teledoc is a fade, nothing really popping out to me. Equix, let's look at this. Equinix, one of the leading providers of cloud and carrier neutral data centers. Data center adjacent play here. 1084 per share, pretty pricey. Bad EL score, probably has to do with the fact that it's only made a 10% move once in the last 2 years. 3 out of the last 4 quarters, we've gotten a fundamental beat, though. We're estimating almost 13% year-over-year growth. Largest global data center REIT. So I guess maybe they're more into the like real estate side of data centers. Data center, AI infrastructure REIT, xScale bookings and interconnection revenue confirm hyperscaler demand. I did read something today, read through for DLR, which DLR reported last week, I think. Beginning of last week, I don't know, but yeah, they reported recently. I did read something today that data centers was like something close to like half of data center production is not going through. So maybe there's a connection there. 1200 call, 11% out of the money, up $5 was the last price traded on that contract. Pretty pricey. This looks bullish to me on the 1200. 750p getting attention on the downside, too far out of the money down, 30% out of the money, expiring on the 15th, 92 cents last price traded. 750p is probably sold here, so I think Equix to the upside, although in the back of my mind, I keep on thinking about how data centers are potentially not being built out in certain areas. Amazon. Everyone knows Amazon, obviously. No moves, over 10% in the last 2 years. $264 a share almost. Bad EL score. Really good fundamentals. Everyone uses Amazon. I use it every day almost. 14% year-over-year growth. AWS growth rate in Q2 guidance are the metrics here. 20% AWS sustains the AI infrastructure investment thesis. Advertising segment is the largest expansion read. 300 call getting attention, tons of volume, 46,000 contracts over 19,000 on the on the OI chain, 240p. I would say, and that one's got a ton of volume over open interest too. I think the put side looks a little bit better here. The call side is a little too ambitious, and probably a lot of this volume is sold or on the bid. But I would suggest fading Amazon for sure. Although put side to the close to the money probably looks good. 425 a share for Microsoft. No moves over 10% in the last 2 years. Bad EL score, massive share float, and the fact that it doesn't make any 10% moves. I couldn't care less about Microsoft already. Same thing with Amazon. I will say, this would be the week and the quarter to just make dumb stock market moves. We got the macro market at all-time highs, within sniffing distance of like 7,500, and a lot of good fundamentals for Google, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Amazon. So if all of those companies come out and say good things, there's a world where the market just goes absolutely bananas, and we start making kind of a blow off top. I really think that fundamentals just in general are going to get really, really poor. And the more bad news that comes out, just the higher the market is going to go. So that's just kind of like the what my lizard brain has been thinking about. 460 call getting attention here from Microsoft. Tons of volume over open interest. 44,000 contracts over 43K. Pricey contract, 358 last price traded. 400p getting attention on the downside. Good volume over open interest there. I would say fade these. They're probably both bought, but I think Microsoft's a fade. Ford I don't want to look at. Kinross I don't want to look at. All right, THC. Let's look at THC. X Project Group. What up? I don't know yet. I don't know. So far, I'm thinking that I got to look into Carvana a little bit more, and Form, and then Vive and ACHC, I think. But I'm gonna go for THC. Was honestly, this is one of my favorites for the week. So I really, really want to play THC. But if I'm not seeing anything that, like, I'm not gonna force it. So 180 share price for THC, one of the big healthcares this week. 76 EL score, pretty good. 5 moves in the last 2 years, over 10% up or down. Did make a really nice move last quarter for earnings. I was able to catch that. It was up, beat 4 out of the last 4 quarters. Looks like we're expecting pretty inline growth, 2.5% year-over-year growth. Hospital operator, ambulatory surgical center segment is the high growth engine here. Compounder alongside HCA and UHS. Beat 404, typically moves almost 8%. I don't like that. 200 call popping up, 12% out of the money up, 450 a contract. Not really a lot of volume over open interest. All right, I might fade THC. 170p, May 15th expiration, closer to the money. I think the put side probably looks a little bit better on THC. I don't know if it'll have a big move, but that was disappointing to see. Crocs, everyone knows Crocs. I see these all the time in the gym. I don't know what Gen Z's obsession is with wearing Crocs in the gym, but it's happening. $101 a share, 66 EL score, which is good. 4 quarters, it's made a 10% move in the last 2 years. Beat 4 of last 4 quarters. Not the greatest fundamentals estimated. Looks like negative 2.5% year-over-year growth is estimated. Crocs, they also make those Hey Dudes, those dad shoes, those kind of like stoner-looking dad shoes. Revenue, negative 2.5% year-over-year, reflects Hey Dude weakness. So I guess the Hey Dudes are not doing all that well for the dads. Hey Dude can turn around, read Crocs international growth versus Hey Dude dragged. I thought I saw something with Crocs. Crocs partnered with someone recently. I thought it was so funny. It was like Adidas, or it was like a soccer team. I don't know who it was. 105 call popping up for Crocs, 4.5% out of the money up. These are probably all bought. I like that share. I like that contract price. That tells me they're probably purchased. Volume is almost matching OI, which is nice. 85p, 15.5% out of the money down. Cheap contract. There's a mix. They could be a mix of bought and sold here, because this is one that I would probably strangle. But I think Crocs to the upside looks like the better option there. ATI supplies specialty metals to various end markets, including aerospace and defense, oil and gas, automotive, and electrical energy, among many others. So we got a basic materials, industrials stock here. $146 a share, 59 EL score, which is pretty good. 4 quarters, making a 10% move in the last 2 years. We've gotten 4 out of the last 4 quarters beaten fundamentally. 9% year-over-year growth estimated. Specialty alloys for aerospace and defense, titanium and nickel demand for military and aerospace. I'm allergic to nickel. Beat 4 out of the 4 quarters. Typically moves 8%. 180 call here. 24% out of the money up. Too ambitious, I think. Too cheap a contract. 135p getting attention on the downside. I think ATI looks down. I kind of want to look at that in unusual whales because the downside does look interesting there. And it's a stock that makes good 10% moves half the time. Wayfair, $73 a share, 57 EL score. Same kind of story as ATI. 4 quarters out of the last 8 making a 10% move. Beat 2 out of the last 4 quarters, so not a 4 for 4. Inline estimated as far as year-over-year growth. Home goods, e-commerce, and tariff risk, EBITDA margin, and customer growth are the re-rate metrics. I hate EBITDA. Tariff impact on imports is the bear case. Typically moves 8 to 14%. That's a pretty wide range. 77.50 call getting attention on the call side. Close to the money, 5% away from it. $4 a contract, $4.20. Last contract price traded there, which is pretty pricey and good to signal a bought position. 65p getting attention on the downside. These are probably bought too. 265, so it might be a good tug of war there. I think you strangle Wayfair, and I think the call side looks like the more confident side there. Butterfly, let's fade Butterfly. Well, let's look at it. 6 out of the last 8 quarters, it's making a 10% move. Cheap stock here. They are in healthcare, digital health business, transforming care with handheld whole body ultrasound, powered by proprietary, blah, blah, blah. Interesting. They need handheld ultrasound stuff. That's interesting. Not the greatest narrative intel. Makes handheld ultrasound devices with AI image analysis, point of care diagnostic imaging. That's it. That's crazy. AI image analysis with an ultrasound device. I kind of like that. Handheld AI ultrasound binary clinician adoption and ARR growth illiquid. Okay, so maybe we don't have the best options. We got options. 5.5 call, 550 call, 12, almost 13% out of the money up. Kind of cheap contract price, same kind of thing on the 450p, pretty much the same contract price. Hard to say exactly what's going on here with Butterfly. I think it's a fade. Although it's a really cheap stock and it makes 10% moves. So if you like scooping up shares, maybe Butterfly is good for that, but I can't get a good read on up or down there. Indivior Pharmaceuticals, INDV, specialty pharmaceutical company, singularly focused on delivering evidence-based treatment and advancing understanding of opioid use. Oh, so we got another opiate related stock here. I can't remember the other one. Oh, I think it was Acadia maybe. So kind of going along with like that opiate theme. 34.50 a share, 49 EL score, 4 out of the last 8 quarters making a 10% move. Good fundamentals. Estimating pretty much inline year-over-year growth here. Specialty pharma, opioid use disorder injection, which I guess their product is called Sublocade. That's their anchor product. Sublocade opioid use disorder, specialty pharma addiction treatment. Okay. DOJ settlement. I think Acadia was that other opioid stock that we saw earlier. 35 call getting attention. That looks bought, very close to the money. Nice contract price. 30p. Likely a lot of these are sold. It's 13% out of the money down, and it's too cheap to tell me that they're bought. So I think INDV looks good to the upside. Definitely to the upside. RCL, we're going to have to go fast. We have so many. I might skip some, to be honest. Royal Caribbean, this one made a big 10% up move last quarter, kind of under the radar, $260 a share. Only 10% move in the last 2 years. Good fundamentals. Cruise demand is definitely hot. Cruise demand bellwether. This is the cruise stock. There's CCL and NCLH2, but RCL has the better, the better atmosphere, the better float, better atmosphere for its stock. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Better technicals for its stock, which, yes. 280 call, getting attention for RCL going up. $3 contract, last price traded. Good volume over open interest there. These are probably bought. That looks bullish. 200p, too far out of the money down, 22% down. Very cheap contract. Good volume over open interest there, but these are probably sold. So RCL definitely call side looks good, but only 10% moves. I'm going to fade. Cigna, $293 a share, same kind of thing. Two moves as RTL, so two 10% moves in the last 2 years. Looks like they've beat 3 out of the last 4 quarters. In line, year-over-year growth expected. Looks like they're into a little bit of the GLP stuff too. They're the structural concerns, employer plans. Yeah, because they're more, okay, so GLP-1 drug PBM economics are the structural concern is employer plans expand obesity coverage. So maybe Cigna's healthcare plans are expanding obesity coverage, and they will let you buy obesity drugs through your employer, which is, I don't know, should just go to the gym. Anyways, pharmacy benefits, PBM economics and GLP-1 coverage read alongside CVS, Express Scripts margin under GLP-1 volume versus cost pressure typically moves 5%. 297.50 call getting attention. Same kind of story that we've seen this week. Lots of volume, small open interest. These are probably bought here. I like that to the call side. 270p getting attention on the downside. $1.75 a contract. 454 contracts over 135. Though 270 could be bought too. Could be a mix of bought and sold, but I like the call side more for Cigna. So as close as you can to the call side for Cigna. Fading Integris, we're not going to talk about Cardinal Health, Integris, unless one of you guys in the chat, like X Project Group, I know you got a special eye, so if I fade or if I skip something that you think we should talk about, let me know, please. International Paper, I don't really care about. Train Technologies, don't care about. Darling, no. APD, no. Valero, nope. LHX, no. Carrier, would that be data center adjacent because they're HVAC? Carrier Global spun out from United, UTX. United that's where, that was a really weird spin out. I used to know someone that worked at United Technologies actually. And you got Raytheon out of that, you got Carrier, and I think you got Otis Elevators. It was a really weird spin out. I'm pretty sure those were the 3. Oh yeah, we'll look at power. TT, did I literally just skip TT? HVAC. All right, so another HVAC. I know you like the data center stuff. 480 contract, no moves over 10%. Strangles for TT. Call side looks stronger here for sure. 510 call getting some decent volume of open interest. The options chain doesn't look super liquid, but for what it's worth, yeah, TT call side definitely, because these 400p are too cheap and they're too far out of the money down. TT to the call side 100%. I think we looked at form already. I wanted to look at that a little later. Power, I think we're getting to power. Well, anyways, yeah, Hershey fade, Xerox fade, Molson fade, Sirius don't care about, Lilly, Eli Lilly, 854 share price, 3 quarters making a 10% move in the last 2 years. Really nice year-over-year growth expected. They do Mounjaro and Zepbound. I guess those are their 2 GLP obesity drugs. Mounjaro, combined revenue and oral. What is this word? I'm not even going to try to say that word. Commentary of the re-rate metrics. Pricing, policy risk is the bear case, typically moves 5%. 900 call getting attention. Good volume over open interest there. These are probably bought. 830p getting attention. These are probably bought too. I think Lilly looks like a chop scenario. Power, where is that's Qantas, right? Quanta Services. Leading provider of specialty contracting services, developing comprehensive infrastructure solutions for the electric and gas utility communications pipeline and in energy industries in the United States, Canada, and Australia. Is this a data center adjacent place? 630 a share, no moves over 10% in the last 2 years. Bad, though almost the worst EL score you can get. Had investor day on April 18th, targeting 2.4 trillion addressable market by 2030 in AI data center power and grid modernization. Seems pretty cool. Those are all, that was a cool sentence to read. Same AI electrical construction theme, beat 4 of the 4 last quarters, backlog and data center contract commentary of the re-rate metrics. Third AI data center electrical contractor confirmation. Fix. Doesn't Fix report this week too? EME reported. EME was today. All setting the stage. 2.4 trillion addressable market by 2030. Beat 4 out of 4. Typically moves 5%. Strangle for power. PWR. We got the 700 call. 11% of the money up. Nice pricey contract. Probably bought. not a ton of volume here. On the downside, we got the 590p. Nice pricey contract. These are both monthlies, which is nice. Volume exceeds open interest here. I like the downside a little bit more for power, but I'm probably going to fade that one because, all right, it is. Thanks, X Project. Yeah, probably going to fade that because it doesn't make 10%, or it hasn't made 10% moves. But X Project Group is really good at nailing stocks that don't make consistent moves, and every once in a while they make massive moves, and he's always there on them. Caterpillar, let's look at Caterpillar. Caterpillar, yeah, everyone knows cats. 3 out of the last 4 quarters, we've gotten a beat here. Not the greatest year-over-year growth expected, but cat is at an all-time high. The stock has been going nuts. Construction equipment, data center power, gen sense of the read, cat power systems, segment commentary, and AI data center demand. Big data center constructor here. 900 call, cheap contract, expiring on Friday. 715 P, 12% out of the money. This looks like a chop scenario to me. I would say the 900 call probably looks safer, but I don't think that's making a 10% move. I think it's going to chop. SoFi, I don't really care about. Vistance, don't really care about. We already looked at these. All right, let's go. Let's do some unusual whale stuff. So the first one, we gotta go fast. I gotta go super fast. Got 12 minutes. Carvana. Oh, we got a new Trump trade. We got Oracle calls and Intel calls. Interesting. All right, Carvana. EME did well. Carvana. All right, the one for Carvana that the website has, we got the 490 call, 200, and this 360. All right, the 360 definitely looks stronger to me there. It definitely looks bought. 360p. That's this candle it's referencing. That's a mix. That's a very messy mix. Almost a half and half. Half on the ask, half on the bid there. And then the call side for Carvana was the 490 call. That just seems too ambitious. There's a lot bought here. That's a 31K candle, but this is all in the bid right here for 39K. I think Carvana's, I'm not going to trade Carvana. I don't like form. Let's look at form. Sorry, Carvana people. I'm very picky with my earnings trades. I'm totally okay not trading anything, even if it's a high EL score. I'm not going to force it. 170 call in the 110p. We got monthlies here. I like monthlies. 170 call. Oh, it's a no side order for 2.6 mil. And that came in on the 24th. And then the other side, the downside was 110. The 110 is a mix of bought and sold, but the form definitely looks bullish. I think maybe we should look at form. What's the 175? What's going on with this? That's bought. I think we buy a form strangle. What do you say, X Project Group? Do you support a form strangle? He's going to be like, I support you going all in on one side. $175. 175 call. 175 and then the 100. I feel better about the put side, like that contract chart is interesting. But that's why you always strangle a high EL score, in my opinion. Wait, what did Simo do? I can miss whatever I want to miss. Just kidding. What did Simo do? Did Simo go crazy? Simo had a really low EL score too, didn't it? It's up 42%? What the? Oh, see what I'm saying? X Project just nails these. This had no moves over 10% in the last 2 years. Small float. That's crazy. Good job. You're a madman. Yeah, I can miss another Simo. I don't care if I miss another low EL score that makes a big move. NAND. I don't have NAND. Maybe that one has illiquid options. form. Where did I find, where was form again? All right, I'm going to get a form. I'm going to get a form strangle. I'm going to get form. I'm going to do the 175 and the 100. What is NAND? Is that a stock? Or is that something that Simo does? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Form factor. Form factor. Form factor. Form. Form, 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 form. I like the I like monthlies a lot. All right, 175 and 100. All right, the other one that we wanted to look at was ACHC, I think. No, not that. ACHC, we had the 30 and 20. We got 5 out of 8. Okay, yeah, 30. This is a big red candle. This is all in the bid here, but that was April 16th. What is that? How much is that? 1,000? There it is. I think it got closed. They closed it out. Because this OI, 1,000 on 300. Now we have 1,200. Yeah, I think they got closed out. Because that number, this OI number should go bigger with this 1836, and it doesn't really go that much bigger. So probably just ignore that big candle on the bid. But some pretty decent ones on the ask recently. Nothing crazy. And then the put side was 20. Shoo, look at this. I mean, that's the thing. So it's a lot of contracts, but it's not really a lot of money. I mean, it's more than I would put on one trade, but 16,000 on that, and then 11,000 on the bid here. I think ACHC is a good fade. I'm not really seeing anything overwhelmingly one side. Other than, okay, I would say ACHC to the call side. That 2250 call, see that in the money call, this 2250, there's some good volume on that, 310K on the ask there. And there's not really anything that matches that for the downside. There is some in the money put, but it's only 7,000. So ACHC is close to the money as you can get. I don't know if this 30 call might be too far away. But obviously, the closer to the money you get, the more the pricier the contract gets. What does the 30 call? Oh my God, we have 5 minutes. What are we doing? Maybe I should get on like 2. Yeah, Viav was the one. That was another one I wanted to look at. Let me open up Viav right now. Didn't Viav had some narrative intel and it referred or it mentioned Max Linear too. The 30 call for Acadia doesn't look bad. I don't know, I'm gonna fade Acadia. Viav, the one for Viav, we had 50 and 31. Oh yeah, this one totally looks bought. 50 call looks bought, 31 put looks sold for sure. 50 and 31. 50, woo, that's huge. 480 on the ask, and the 31 is like all sold. Let's get Viav. 50 call. And they're monthlies too. I cannot type. I typed Viav. You got to protect the downside for sure, though. This is a consistent mover. What is this? I'm going to get a strangle. I'll do the 50. Yeah, I'll do the 50 and then I'll do the 38. Someone just hit the 38 for 80 contracts. They're all sold. I'll do something cheaper than 38. I'll do the 36. Someone just hit it for 10 contracts. They bought it. All right, the 30. They're buying 36. That's what they're strangling with. Oh, O'Reilly. O'Reilly. 50. 50 call. I got the call. And I guess I'll get the put. 36. Even though all of the volume in Viav looks, or at least for the puts, looks all sold. But, you know what? No! It didn't fill my put. I gotta slap it. I'm not paying $1.65 for that. That's right. I got Viav 50, Viav 36, Form 175, and Form 100. 2 minutes. Anything else? Did I miss anything? I'm sure I missed something for sure. THC? THC. Oh yeah, THC looked choppy. THC. Great ticker symbol, THC. That's probably the best ticker symbol you can get. That and XYZ is a really good one. 160p, I think that's too far out. 155p. The put side for THC does look interesting, but I'm not going to trade it. All right, pencils down. That's all I got for today. Everything I bought reports this afternoon. Oh, INDV, that looked good too. Oh, this was the opioid one. So it was INDV, and there was another one. There are just so many earnings stocks. It's crazy. All right, you got 10 seconds until 4 o'clock Eastern, but I got mine in. I'm doing Viav and Form. Two pretty high EL score stocks, so I'll take it. And then keep in mind for tomorrow, if we don't hit anything this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon, a ton of really good ones. Twilio, Roblox, Zeta, Roku. Those are pretty much the only good high EL scored stocks. But there's also some really, like Western Digital, hot sector there. First Solar can make some weird move. Dexcom has made some weird ER moves in the past. So I kind of like tomorrow for this one on Friday morning, EL, Estee Lauder on Friday morning. Let's go. I'm with you. Let's go, Smarty. So yeah, there's a ton more tomorrow. So if you didn't take anything today, that's okay. There are, as we always say, the market is always here. Opportunities are endless, but we do have some decent opportunities for tomorrow. So I'll do the same thing. I'll try to do the same thing I did today. I'll try to get on a little earlier because I want to go through as many as I can. It's just there's a lot of information. In the meantime, I would suggest get an account on earningslottos.com. We actually made kind of a nice little aesthetic refresh last night. So mobile, at least, it looks more and it feels more like an app. That's kind of the direction we're going in. But yeah, sign up for an account, takes 30 seconds, completely free. You'll be able to see everything I'm looking at here. You can do your homework for tonight, and then when we get on the stream tomorrow, we can discuss more in depth. But as always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate the collaboration. You guys make me a better trader, and I hope my ramblings help you guys too. So with all that said, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow at around 3 p.m. Peace, everyone.